Look, it's Friday. We're in LA. Jonathan Kim is here. Woohoo!
Hey.
You ReThink reviews?
I has it.
All right, we're doing Tangled. It's the Disney movie about Rapunzel. Let's watch as we always do, and then fascinating facts about how girls view themselves, partly based on these movies, etc. So let's watch.
Hi. Welcome home, Mother.
Ah, Rapunzel, how you manage to do that every single day without fail. It looks absolutely exhausting, darling.
Oh, it's nothing.
Then I don't know why it takes so long. Oh, darling, I'm just teasing.
All right.
Tangled is Disney's 50th animated movie, and it finds the Mouse House attempting several tricky maneuvers. First, it's trying to prove that Disney should continue making animated movies at all, since they already have Pixar hitting groundbreaking home runs every year. Second, after creating a marketing and merchandising juggernaut with their super girly Princesses line, Disney is attempting to reach out to boys, but they're doing it with a rejiggered version of Rapunzel, you know, the one who lets down her extra long hair, instead calling it Tangled, adding a swashbuckling bandit, some action scenes, and hiding the fact that the movie is actually a musical. Third, they're trying to regain that Disney fairy tale magic that was lost in duds like Treasure Planet, Chicken Little, and Home on the Range, while still appealing to kids' modern tastes. Did they pull it off? This may come as a shock to you, since it did to me, but they did. In Tangled, the Rapunzel story has been smartly reimagined by the Disney and Pixar think tanks. In this version, Rapunzel's hair has been imbued with powers to heal and prevent aging that were passed down from her mother after eating a magical flower so she could survive a dangerous pregnancy. But Rapunzel is kidnapped as a baby from her royalty parents. That's right, she's another princess, by the evil and vain Mother Gothel, who wants to use the hair's power to stay young forever. However, Rapunzel's hair loses its power when it's cut, which cleverly explains why it's grown to 70 feet long and why Gothel, voiced by theater veteran Donna Murphy, wants to keep Rapunzel in a tower forever. One of my favorite things about Tangled is that Gothel doesn't use locks or evil spells to keep Rapunzel there, but instead uses the arguably stronger powers of guilt and passive aggression, undermining Rapunzel's confidence at every turn and convincing her that only Gothel loves Rapunzel enough to protect her from the nasty, scary world beyond the tower. But Rapunzel, who's now a smart, spunky 18-year-old voiced by singer-actress Mandy Moore, wants to leave the tower to unlock the mystery of the floating lanterns that are released from her parents' kingdom every year on her birthday. So when Flynn Rider, a wise guy, smooth-talking bandit voiced by Zachary Levi from the show Chuck, decides to hide out in the tower after stealing a crown from the kingdom, Rapunzel asks Flynn to guide her to the source of the lights in exchange for returning the crown, which she's hidden from him. Accompanying them are Rapunzel's pet chameleon, Pascal, and a very dog-like military horse named Maximus, who provide some of Tangled's funniest moments and thankfully don't talk. On the way to the kingdom, Rapunzel and Flynn encounter plenty of adventure as they attempt to escape the kingdom's guards and some double-crossed bandits who are after Flynn, with Rapunzel using her hair Spider-Man style as an extension of her arms or as a rope to tie people up or swing from. There are also a lot of laughs and, of course, a budding romance. But perhaps Rapunzel's biggest obstacle is how her desire for independence clashes with the self-doubt and mistrust instilled in her by Gothel, as well as the guilt Rapunzel feels for betraying the one person who claims to be looking out for her. It's this struggle that makes Tangled special and gives it its unconventional but important message, that eventually, young people will need to muster up some courage and leave the safety of home and family to live their own life. It's a mature and welcome change from the typical believe-in-yourself smarm most kids' movies peddle. Tangled shows that Disney Animation has indeed returned, and more importantly, that they've learned some valuable lessons. They've successfully modernized their characters and humor without resorting to the kind of loud, farting, Shrek-style pop culture referencing that makes a movie feel dated 2 years after its release. They've also learned Pixar's core beliefs, that story must come first, and that you can entertain without shying away from more complex themes and messages. The result, while not a classic, is a great, funny movie that can be enjoyed by both girls and boys. But most importantly, Disney has finally brought their trademark fairy tale magic into the digital age, with gorgeous artistry and a few truly breathtaking 3D moments. Tangled is a great movie to take your kids to, and one grown-ups shouldn't be afraid to enjoy on their own. I'm Jonathan Kim, and this is a ReThink review.
Hey, John, is it in 3D?
Yes, it is in 3D, but it's also been released in 2D as well.
Okay, because 3D.
Yeah, it is
I'm
a
so
problem.
done with it. Okay, yeah. All right. Before we go on to the princess stuff, first of all, Gothel is obviously Dick Cheney, right?
Very well could be.
Because think about it. While pretending to keep you safe and protect you, she actually builds on your insecurities and makes you, worry about the outside, and says the only person who can protect you is me, and actually has bad intent. Hello?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and throughout the movie, I mean, like I said, Rapunzel, her main thing is her feeling bad about betraying the strong mother character who's protecting her. So, like the first time she gets out of the tower, there's this great scene where she's like really, really happy about being out, and then she's like all curled up. She's like, "Oh, I feel terrible. I'm such a terrible daughter." And then it's her running around and like getting to like feel water for the first time and things like that. So.
Yeah. And that's exactly how Cheney wants his Republican voters to think, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing that. I'm out. I don't know. I'm so scared. Does Gothel work for Halliburton at all in the movie or no?
Well, she is looking for a precious resource that she's trying to hoard from everybody else.
Oh, forget about it. Are you kidding me? I didn't know that. Okay. All right, it's Dick Cheney. And she's looking for unobtainium, right? That's a different movie. Okay. Now let's talk about princesses. Okay. So, first of all, my understanding is that Disney has made a decent amount of money from this princess idea.
Yeah, in 2006, they made $3 billion, and they had over 25,000 different licensed Disney princess items. And if you don't know what the princesses thing is, they basically, it started in 2000 with this former Nike executive who joined Disney, and it was putting Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Ariel from Little Mermaid, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Mulan, and Tiana all together, and kind of selling it as a package. They're not like friends that know each other, but it's just putting them all together, and it's been just enormous for them.
But LA Times is reporting that this is going to be their last princess movie for a while.
You know, they canceled Jack and the Beanstalk and one other one, but actually after that article came out, two of the main Disney people said, no, that's not true. We are going to go back to it at some point. And I think Rapunzel has done really, really well. In its first weekend, it almost made more than Harry Potter in the U.S.,
what?
which shocked everybody. It was like less than $1 million between them.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's it. It's over. Princess movies are back.
It's also, it's also gotten really great reviews. I mean, I was surprised at how much I liked it.
Right. And so let's talk about what the princess movies does to girls, right? So, I mean, what's some of the facts behind it? I mean, what do people think it does about girls' images and stuff?
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, because at the same time, people don't consider having your kids gender identified to necessarily be a bad thing, but with kind of the first and second waves of feminism, it's like, oh, this princesses thing, like waiting for some prince to come and save you is a really horrible thing. But there are no studies proving that playing princess damages self-esteem or dampens aspirations, and that there's this idea that usually around like 6 or 7 that kids kind of grow out of that and then they kind of go on with their life. But at the same time, it was found that young women who hold the most conventionally feminine beliefs to avoid conflict and be perpetually nice and pretty are more likely to be depressed than others and less likely to use contraception.
Oh. Disaster.
It's probably because they're like, if the guy's like, I don't want to wear a condom, they're like, well, I guess maybe I shouldn't then.
Well, if he's Prince Charming, he doesn't need a condom.
Right.
Prince Charming doesn't need a condom. That's ridiculous.
But then there's these other things like there's been a 23% decline in girls' participation in sports because they're seen as being unfeminine. At the same time, cheerleading is the fastest growing sport in the U.S. because it's like a feminine sport that is also very athletic, and that girls are gravitating to that.
And let me give you a slight context here. Disney actually stopped making princess movies for 30 years, basically between 1959 to 1989, right?
Right.
Snow White to Little Mermaid, right?
Oh, I think it was Cinderella to Little Mermaid.
I'm sorry, okay, Cinderella to Little Mermaid, right? And then since 89, they've been cranking these out, as John's talking about. And so that, we were wondering if that begins to have an effect on the culture, right? So, and that maybe that goes partly towards these, women participating in sports less, doing cheerleading more, et cetera, et cetera. Let's bring in an actual live woman here. My understanding is that Anna is a woman. Casper.
One of them.
First of all, did you want to be a princess when you were growing up?
No, I didn't. I mean, I was exposed to all of these movies, right? I remember Ariel in Little Mermaid. She's not a princess, but she's treated like one in the movie. Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, all of that stuff. And I think it's all about a combination of two things. Yes, media plays a role, movies play a role, but also your parents play a much larger role. And the reason why I think I didn't grow up wanting to be a princess is because my mom always pushed the idea of independence, you know, make sure you have a good career, make sure you follow your goals and your dreams. So I think it's a combination of two things. And no, I didn't grow up wanting to be a princess. I grew up wanting to rule the world.
No, damn.
But I didn't.
Okay.
Fail.
Well, fail. No, you got time.
Yeah, 'cause I think there's also this really interesting thing, because in one of the surveys I found that like the vast majority of school-age girls feel this strong desire to be perfect, or this pressure to be perfect. And I think that, I mean, what's happening now is they're told that you have to be everything. Like, you have to be pretty and dress nice and also smart and probably do a sport and then also have a great career and then be able to have kids, yet you don't need a man.
Let me share.
Impossible.
Yeah, let me share a secret. It's not just teenage girls that feel that way. It's adult women as well. So I can speak from experience. I feel pressure to feel that way too. You got to be smart. You got to be attractive. You got to comb your hair nice for work every day. All of that stuff.
That's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
Ironically, that's a Rapunzel problem.
It is a Rapunzel problem.
Okay. No, but more to the point, Anna, you know, what do you think? Do you think that that this is having an effect on society, or do you think, you know...
Is it bad for girls, like this
Yeah.
princesses thing, or is it just a little kid thing that just goes away?
It depends on what kind of princess is depicted in the film. If it's a princess that needs to be saved by someone else constantly, then yeah, I think that that's negative. But if you have movies like this where, you know, the princess finds courage and she stands up for herself and, you know, saves herself, I think that that portrays a much more, much better message. So it all depends on what kind of princess is portrayed in the film.
Right. I mean, because apparently, like, I mean, this movie supposedly cost $260 million to make.
How much?
$260 million.
Jeez, Lord mercy.
But the reason why is because they scrapped the original movie. It was going to be more of a traditional princess thing, and then I think like when The Frog and the Princess didn't do well and they started losing steam, they basically scrapped it and started all over again. They replaced the prince with this bandit character, which was partially to try to get boys, but then also I think they changed her character where they're really equals, and it's not one of those things where it's like they don't like each other, but then they end up together. They're actually quite friendly with each other for the most part, and she's not weak in terms of saying like, listen, I need you to guide me to find out like where these lights in the sky come from. She's smart doing that because she's never been out of the tower in 18 years.
Can I give you an example of the one Disney movie that I absolutely hate, and it's a classic? Sleeping Beauty. It's so dumb. Like,
yeah, she doesn't do anything.
Yeah, she doesn't do anything, and she needs a freaking prince to kiss her so she can wake up. Like, I hate that message. Like,
She's literally unconscious. and like the prince brings her to life.
Exactly.
Like she literally has no life until she runs into the man.
Yeah, I hate that kind of message. But I think that these movies are getting better at not portraying these princesses as like weak, you know, defenseless little animals that need to be saved by men.
Right. The one I have the biggest problem with is Snow White, because those dwarfs freak me out. What's that about? Okay, that connects back to our midget.com conversation from earlier in the day.
Well, speaking of Snow White, one interesting fact that I found was that, you know, we always think of pink and blue as being, you know, the strong gender identifying colors. It used to be in the early part of the 20th century that pink was considered more masculine.
What?
Because
when?
It was let's see, Joe Paletti, an associate professor of American Studies at the University of Maryland, said when colors were first introduced to the nursery in the early part of the 20th century, pink was considered the more masculine hue, a pastel version of red. Blue, with its intimations of the Virgin Mary, constancy, and faithfulness, was thought to be dainty. And when you look at the early Disney movies, Snow White wears blue, Cinderella wears blue, and Alice in Wonderland wears blue, that was considered more of a feminine color.
Wow, that's super interesting. I can see red being more masculine. That makes sense. But when you turn it into pink, then we got issues. Okay.
But it's cultural. I mean, it could change.
It's obviously cultural, but it's fascinating how much effect these movies have on us and how things change accordingly. But I'll tell you. But at the end of this, though, I think you guys got me wanting to watch this movie. You know,
it's very funny.
You got me wanting to watch it so much that I started missing popcorn. I was like, popcorn. But maybe that's because I'm a fat ass. All right, that's what we got for you guys today. RethinkReviews.net. Rethink Reviews on Huffington Post, on YouTube. Go crazy. Thanks, John.
Thank you.